So you have put in a really impressive MBA application and you've now been invited to interview. This is the final lap, and today I'll be sharing with you a couple of tips on how to nail that interview and get that admission. What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about prepping for your MBA or master's degree interviews. And as you guys may already know, I have had the amazing opportunity of being on both sides of the table. I've been an admissions interviewer for some time, and clearly I've also been an interviewee when I was applying to different MBA programs. So today we'll be talking about prepping and all the prep you need to do for that final lap, okay? And I think the first thing you need to know is you've put in an MBA application and you've been invited to interview. That means the admissions committee is already like super impressed with your candidacy and they already think you're a great candidate. And the interview is an opportunity to really confirm that, to close any gaps that may exist and also to see if there's a fit. Tip number one in preparing for your MBA interview is to really go through your resume again. I know you've had that resume for long and you know everything about it, but go through it one more time and identify any gaps that exist in your experience, education, background, whatever gaps exist. Prepare to answer questions about those gaps. Like, did you take a break? Were you out of job for some time? They are really going to ask you questions about your about gaps they find on your resume, and it is great for you to already have an answer for that. Like, think about that, already have great answers, or just be prepared to talk about it during the interviews. The second thing that I would like to share in terms of preparing for your MBA interview is to speak with current students. Speak with current students and ask questions around like, what do they like about the school? What are some of those things they don't like? Here you're really trying to get more information in order to be able to say during your interview, this is why this school is the right school for me. See, business schools know you're applying to like all the great schools out there, but during the interview for each school, they still want you to demonstrate a whole lot of interest. So the way to do that is to show that I've spoken with students, I've done a lot of research, and I know that this school is the school to take me to the next step, or this school can help me achieve this goal that I have. So that is like super important for the admissions committee or whoever is interviewing you. And it's absolutely okay for you to drop names, for you to say, oh, I spoke with Doane, or I spoke with this person during this process. That is absolutely fine, and there's really no problem with that. It doesn't count against you. In fact, it might be helpful, really. During your interview prep, you also want to practice how to be super succinct, like how to go straight to the point. What you find out, or you may not really find out, is that all your interviewers have a feedback form that they fill. For almost every school, there's a feedback form that they fill that have like specific things or qualities or experiences or questions that they need to answer about the interview, about you. So you want to really go straight to the point. You want to make sure that you are answering exactly what they're asking you. Many times when we're preparing for MBA interviews, we have these amazing things we want to say about ourselves. But really, if they ask you a question, make sure you provide, enough information about that question. Don't answer any other question that you've prepared before you walked into that room. Try to go straight to the point, because after that interview, that interviewer, that student, that admissions committee person that is interviewing you has to fill a form, and that form is like set. They cannot develop another form for you. So they need information, they need enough data points. So if you've actually spent the last 30 minutes during your interviews or 45 minutes talking about questions that they didn't quite ask you but you felt like talking about, it's going to be difficult for the person to have enough data to prove that you're a really strong candidate. So you want to give that person enough information, and the way to do that is really to answer the question that the person is asking you directly, succinctly, and to make sure that at the end of that interview, because whether you like it or not, that interview ends in 30 minutes or in 45 minutes. You want to make sure at 45-minute mark you've given that person enough information to write a really good feedback report about you. The next thing you want to do during your prep is to actually see how you can embrace how different you are. So if you have, for instance, you have a non-traditional background, or you've worked with non-traditional industries of some sort, or you've had this experience that you think is different from the typical MBA classmates or MBA people that get into these MBA programs, you want to embrace that. You want to actually, because classroom diversity really matters to these schools, so you want to show that if you've had very different experiences, or you're making a big transition, it's fine to embrace all of that difference and show that, hey, I have a different background. This is why I did what I did. This is why I wanted to switch industries, whatever. I found that many people are uncomfortable like sharing some of, like, a part of their experience or their background that they feel isn't good enough or isn't like MBA like. But there's nothing like that. These schools want very diverse classrooms in experience, in background, all forms of diversity. So it's okay for you to bring all of that into the room and share that experience with your interviewer. It just also makes the interviewer like remember you more, because like in a day sometimes we interview like 10, each person interviews like 10 candidates or more. So it's okay for you to share how different your background or your experience has been, and that's totally fine. The next thing is really to ask questions at the end of the interview. Usually you have 5 minutes to ask any questions. Don't ask questions already covered in on the website. And this is a mistake so many people make. If a student is interviewing you, you can ask basic questions like, how has your experience been? Do you like this school? You know, that is really great. It's also an opportunity for you to get to know that person. But don't ask basic questions that they've like really covered on like the front page of their website, like the landing page of their website. Everything is there. Try to ask very different questions other than those that they already kind of covered. It kind of shows that you didn't do your research, and for many schools that's a no-no in terms of judging your interest in this school. I know there are so many resources out there on the internet that like tell you many questions or typical questions you get during MBA interviews, but I'll just emphasize these 3 questions. Why MBA? Why now? Why this school? You need to be able, in some way they're going to ask you those 3 questions. It might not be why this or why that. Just some way they're going to ask you those 3 questions, and you want to prepare to answer those questions. Why do you want to do an MBA? Why is now the right time? Why is this the school for you? So in some manner, just prepare to answer those 3 questions. And my final tip is really doing a mock interview. I really recommend doing a mock interview. Remember, there's a human element to your MBA interview. So you want to do a mock interview, preferably with a current student or someone that has experience interviewing candidates, or maybe even your friend, colleague, whoever. You want to send the person your resume. Don't give any additional information, and let the person identify gaps. Let the person tell you how you're coming across. Are you friendly? You know, let the person kind of answer questions around, will I like to have this person as a part of my community? Will I like to have this person as a classmate even from this interview? And that's why I really recommend a mock interview. Do a mock interview with someone. Let the person tell you, you sound too serious, I don't feel comfortable, you sound like you just want to get this interview done. Yeah, which is fine, but mocks help you like see some of these points that you may not have seen if you were prepping by yourself. So definitely, if you have a current student somewhere, or you have people that experience interviewing candidates, or you have a colleague, take that opportunity and let them actually do a mock interview with you. It's super helpful. So those are the major MBA interview prep tips that I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please comment in the description box below if you recently gained admission into an MBA program and some of the interview tips that really helped you, or some of the resources you found helpful. I really will be looking through those comments to see other tips that people have been finding helpful. If you also have an interview coming up, comment and let's see how we can be of help. And yeah, thanks a lot for watching this video. Thank you, and be sure to subscribe to my channel, and also give this video a thumbs up. Follow me on IG, and I'll see you in my next video. Stay safe.